Yo, my name's Gib. I want to talk about the new Do at Night Abyss, specifically, I said the new Do at Night, the new Do at Night Abyss patch, specifically Theater, which I think is absolutely terrible, and I just want to talk about the new patch as well. I haven't experienced everything in the new patch, but from what I've seen so far, 1.1, the biggest thing they did was just add a new area. I think a lot of the base fundamentals of the game still haven't been fixed, a lot of things still need to get worked on, and so on, but yeah, I just kind of want to talk here, discuss with you guys and stuff like that. I also have Warframe open as well because I want to talk about, things that they really should have improved on that they still haven't done yet for some reason. Um, Even though like they've been in Warframe for a while, because like a lot of people, they're like, okay, Warframe's been out for 13 years, they've been like developing on the code for 13 years, or like the base and everything. But Do It Night Abyss, I'm gonna be honest, I think Do It Night Abyss would have been perfectly fine, maybe, if they released a year from now. Now, I don't know what they have going on, in China with like, game release. I know like you have to like do so and so like release games and stuff like that, like your investors and everything. But Do It Night Abyss needed to cook a little bit longer, I'm not gonna lie. As someone that, enjoys the game, I like Warframe. I think of this as two cakes, but the second cake does diminish in value a lot every time I think about it. Every time I think about the other cake, I'm like, is this really my second cake? But let's talk about the theater. So, theater is your way to gain characters, right? And this new theater, they made it harder, like significantly harder. Not only just because of the element change and stuff like that, but because of the buffs and debuffs. So this current theater is a Nemo and Hydro week for. I don't know why they have it Hydro week when you're trying to get the new Hydro character. I also don't understand that. I think they should remove the whole elemental system. If anything, have one element rated up and the other elements are neutral. There's no point in nerfing the other elements. It makes no sense. It just removes combat depth and just versatility overall. But I used to be able to clear. So we had what, two theaters by now, right? I've cleared the past two theaters easily using Psyche and Lin or Knifo and Lin. Now, my Lin is I6, but everyone else I play is I0. I recently built up my Psyche because I was like, okay, this theater is, I don't mind a difficulty increase, but I feel like this theater isn't a difficulty increase. It's just like a cringe increase. Um, so let's talk about this. So currently the buff and debuff that they have, right? So there's one buff where you get crit chance for losing HP, and then the debuff is enemy units take 80% reduced damage, and it diminishes by 2% every time they take weapon damage. So you have to hit every enemy individually 40 times to get full damage on them. And you have to go through 4 waves of enemies. I feel like this makes, like, I feel like they didn't think about this. I think this is a terrible debuff. It makes no sense. We don't have characters in the game that work with this, in my opinion. And the other problem with this is this works on the boss, as far as I know, because the bosses take, like, literally no damage. Also, they removed another buff. Because if I remember correctly, the old theaters used to have more buffs for you. Like, I remember there was, like, a ranged weapon buff or something before, like, in, like, the first and second theater. But now there's only 1 buff and 3 debuffs. So on top of the 80% reduced damage on the enemies, by the way, you also just lose 50% weapon damage and get 100 crit damage. Crit damage is kind of useless right now because no one has good crit builds though. And most of the characters that we play in the game don't scale off a crit. Psyche does have her buff off of crits, which I feel like was what they were trying to go for with them giving you crit chance on you losing HP. But these buffs and debuffs don't make sense. And then don't even get me started on this Hellfire boss, right? So the Hellfire boss, not even keeping in mind, that the boss goes invincible every like 20 to 30 seconds, which every boss in the game does for some reason. I don't know why. On top of that, you have the normal Bastion buff where the enemy goes below 50% HP, they just become invincible. They should remove this. They should remove this. They can keep the enemy spawning in, or if anything, give the boss damage reduction while the enemies are here, and maybe that's the mechanic. But base enemies should not have damage reduction. It makes no sense. And then also, this one has the damage taken by enemy units is capped at 35% of their max HP. So you can't nuke enemies for whatever reason. And then this debuff is even worse because they take 60% reduced damage, but to remove this debuff, you have to hit them with a different teammate each time to remove 10% of the damage reduction. And I don't know if this is mistranslated, but I feel like they regain their damage reduction. I could be wrong, but from what I've personally felt, it feels like they regained their damage reduction, which feels really bad. But all of this is to get one copy of Fushu. It shouldn't be this hard to get one copy of Fushu. I'm not gonna lie. The whole point of Duet Night Abyss, right, is to get characters easier than Warframe. In Warframe, you have to get the relics, and then you have to get all of the parts and pieces, and then you have to go over to your foundry here, and then you have to craft those, and you wait for those, right? The old system was way easier to get a character, at least one copy. Now, I could understand if they made it crazy to get extra copies of the character, because realistically, from theater, you're only getting max C2 or C3, or I2, I3, if you get lucky, right? But most people are just going for a copy of the character. That's what I do. I go for one copy of the character, I'm chill with a copy of the character, and I'll try to pick up the weapon. Right now, I don't even have a Fushu yet, because I haven't beaten this yet. Now, can I beat it? Not right now. I'm gonna farm up some more Rebecca dupes. I built up this little gremlin girl. I'm not a fan of Tabith because Tabith, if you don't know, so if we look at Tabith here, right? A lot of people don't know. They probably see this and they were just like, okay, games inspired by Warframe, who could this be? Oh, Hydroid, right? But do they actually know who Hydroid is? Hydroid is this absolute Chad, like Sea Warrior guy, and then they turned him into this. Like, I don't even know. I don't know how they turned this guy into this little gremlin thing. Look, do you see it? Do you see it? They turned this guy into that. And this is not even looking at Hydroid Prime. Hydroid Prime looks even cooler. Anyways, yeah, I think this theater is really bad. I think a lot of people also think this theater is really bad. I want to give my sentiments on that. Now, other stuff in the game that still hasn't been fixed. One thing they did add, which is really good, you can now co-op fighting weekly bosses. That's really nice. Now, a thing I want to talk about is we should be able to co-op immersive theater. I don't know why you can't co-op immersive theater. The whole point of this game is to build a community. It's supposed to be a community game. There's low-key no community of the game right now. 99% of the things in the game are more optimal if you do them solo, but that defeats the whole purpose of the game. Immersive theater should be co-op. Mystic Maze should be co-op. You can have the option to do it yourself, but there should be the ability to do it in co-op. I don't know why you can't do it in co-op. And what else? Another thing also that's really small, but I don't think they're going to change, is the Gacha Banner Pity system. The Gacha Banner Pity systems right now don't carry over, which I've seen a lot of people talking about. Now, realistically, I don't care about this that much because I understand gacha or skins, cosmetics is their only monetization of the game. But I don't know about Pity not carrying over, in my opinion. I feel like Pity not carrying over is kind of crazy. Like, realistically, if you're a free-to-play player, right, and you want a skin, I understand they're like, okay, if you really want this skin, you should just save up, like, 100 pools, right? But how long does it take to get 100 pools? If you're a free-to-play player, you haven't spent any pools right now with all of the stuff they've been giving for bug fixes and stuff like that in the mail, probably at like 60 pools, maybe 50 pools. If you're a new player, you get to like maybe like 30 pools. So like, you're not getting the skin unless you get lucky. And, as someone that got lucky, I feel bad for the people that that didn't get the lucky. All I'm saying. Because I have both, But another thing I really want to address. So combat. For whatever reason, still to this day, whenever you are doing wedge farming and you do the defense mission, you have to go to the defense point, you have to go the 2 waves, you end, then you wait for it to load, then you claim your wedges, then it refreshes the whole map, then you have to load back in, then you go back to the defense place, and you just keep looping that. Why? Why can't you just stay in the same defense mission? I don't know why. And it's even worse if there's an elevator. It's even worse if there's an elevator. Also, as far as I know, I think you still can't co-op farm demon wedges. I could be wrong on this. No, you still can't co-op farm demon wedges. Why can you not co-op farm demon wedges? That makes no sense. Another thing, also, co-op, is I think they should have the same system as Warframe for relics. When you crack open, so one of the really cool things about Warframe, right, is when you crack open a relic in a team, right, you know, let me go to my, like, relics here, right? Let's say I have a Vaulted Relic. A Vaulted Relic in Warframe is a character that came out, like, a while ago, and, you can't actively get them right now from farming the missions that give you those relics, right? It's because they change out the loot pools because there's so much stuff, right? But let's say I'm farming with someone, we all use a different relic, right? But at the end of the mission, we can all choose from whatever drops out of whoever's person relic. So, like, let's say I'm using a Lith B10, right? I get the Baruch Prime, right? Someone else is using Lith A8, they get the Daiku Prime, lower limb. I really want the Daiku Prime lower limb. I can go choose the Daiku Prime lower limb, and they wanted the Baruch Prime blueprint that I got as a drop from my relic. They can choose that as well. And I feel like it should be the same thing with farming secret letters. I don't know why they don't have that. I think they should incorporate that ASAP, Rocky. Other stuff, though, in the game, I've heard people are still having black screen errors. The Steam release got mega scuffed. I don't know what they're doing with the Steam release. They still don't have the game on console, which I think is a mega fumble. And besides that, I just really want the game to do good. I want the game to succeed. You know, I like the game. Like I said, I play Warframe, anime Warframe. I play a lot of anime games, you know. I would love anime Warframe to succeed, so I have 2 excellent cakes in front of me, you know. And not Valkyr's cakes, because yes! Yes! And it's, also, I want them to add an Ivara character. Ivara is actually my favorite character in Warframe that I play. They need to rework Ivara, I'm not gonna lie. But I hope Do It Night Abyss eventually adds an Ivara character. Actually, wait, to speak about characters, one extra thing before I end this video. I think they really badly need to add more abilities to the characters. I don't know if this is ever going to get... I mean, I think eventually down the line they have to. It doesn't make sense to have 2 abilities for a Warframe game. The characters kind of have no depth in Do It Night Abyss. Like, Lynn, for example, is Mesa, right? But she's only Mesa because she has the ultimate. But in Warframe, you have 4 abilities. Maybe even 5. Maybe 6, depending on what your character is. Ivara, she's got like 8 abilities, right? Some of the characters, they have multiple different abilities that they can do. I think they need to add more abilities in Do It Night Abyss. I think the characters, they're lacking the ability depth, you know? I feel like they really need to do that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about my sentiments, stuff like that in the game. It's my thoughts on Do It Night Abyss 1.1 so far, and just overall theater and all that. Theater, it really annoyed me because it's not supposed to be a sweat fest to get the new character. I want 1 copy of the character. I shouldn't be having to deal with, you know, 60%, 80% damage reduction. I think if I I6 Lynn, I should always be able to clear 1/2 of theater. Now, if I couldn't clear Immortal theater with Lynn, that makes sense, okay? You know, change it out, stuff like that. Warframe has a system like this with sorties, right? Where they have, like, different things that you have to bring into the sortie, right? But, yeah, anyways. That's my thoughts. Hope you guys, you know, gain something from this. Agree, disagree, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. See ya. Goodbye.